when it comes to the presidential candidates, we know one thing about Donald Trump. He seems to be the king of all domains, online domains at least. Trump supporters successfully redirected jebbush.com to Trump's own campaign website, not by hacking, not by stealing. They just got it because it hadn't been taken by Jeb Bush. By the way, this has also been done with the domain names PresidentSanders.com, HillaryClinton.net, Hillary Clinton 2016. But this isn't the first time something like this has happened. Last year, former presidential candidate Carly Fiorina forgot to register carlyfiorina.org, and this happened. If you can't see tight enough on your screen, what is that? It's a site showing thousands of sad emoticons representing, quote, everyone she laid off at Hewlett-Packard. Okay, so that's just the kind of thing that can hurt somebody. And then 2 domain names related to Ted Cruz are being redirected to other sites. Okay, TedCruz.com shows support for President Obama's immigration reform. Oh, snap. While TedCruzForAmerica.com gets redirected to a Canadian immigration site. Where did these Where did these campaigns go wrong? How can you prevent your small business from being taken over this way? Because a lot of you are hoping to own your own domain name. With me now is the king of domain names, GoDaddy CEO Blake Irving. Blake, when you first saw that Donald Trump somehow managed to nab jebbush.com, what was your first thought?
My first thought was, not again. I mean, literally. I mean, how many times have we seen this happen over the past few years, where a candidate has forgot to dial in not just their name, but anything contextually around their name that could be construed as being part of the campaign. Whether it's, Ted Cruz 2016 or Donald Trump 2016, whatever it happens to be, there are lots of domain names that would be in the proximation of somebody trying to find you on the internet. And frankly, whether you're a small business or a candidate or somebody who's just getting started, an entrepreneur, or you're just a person and you want your own name, you ought to own it, even just for protection's sake. Yeah,
I mean, your own name is the basic. So Ted Cruz doesn't have his own name. Jeb Bush doesn't. And by the way,
right.
You're looking at Hillary Clinton 2016, .com, and that gets redirected to an anti-Hillary slanted email website. So
right.
I look at these and I think to myself, you don't just lock in your own name, you lock in all the potentials, right?
That's right. And what you should do is you figure out what you think are things that you're going to want to defend. Mm-hmm. And then you buy, you don't have to get everything on the table. Just get 10. Get 10 names that are around. Like, so I have, BlakeIrving.com, BlakeIrving.net, BlakeIrving.org, BlakeIrving. A lot of them. And, I've got my initials covered as well, so Blake J. Irving. And you need to go ahead and get those names so you can protect them. And then, honestly, you don't actually just sit on them. You redirect them to things that are meaningful. Like, I know that LizClayman.com, as an example, redirects to Fox Business.
Yeah.
That's just smart.
Right.
And I also know LizClayman.org is available.
Now somebody's going to take it. Don't take it, anybody. You know what isn't available, I think, is Liz Clayman XX. I was smart enough to grab that so that somebody didn't grab that one. Wait, you know who did it really well? Bloomberg. Michael Bloomberg, a couple of years ago.
He did.
As we understand it, we can put some of these up here. Bloomberg, I mean, I couldn't even believe what he anticipated people might take. Of course, he has Michael Bloomberg. He also got Mike is too short. Yeah. For those of you who've never seen him in person, he's a slightly smaller stature. Bloomberg blows.nyc. He took that. Get a life, Mike. Bloomberg is an, you know what? I mean, F. Bloomberg. Well, I mean,
these are defensive registrations where people say, look, I want to own that. I don't want somebody standing my name up or my personality in a way that they control.
Okay, so let's just run through a couple of things people must do. You got to target the right names, correct? Make sure you own your name.
You got to
buy the obvious ones.
You got to target the right names, the obvious ones, and then find the ones that might be inobvious. Bloomberg did a good job of that. And then don't just register them. Set them on auto-renew. So you don't have to re-register them. And auto-renew is a feature that GoDaddy offers, and frankly, we've seen more trouble from folks that don't auto-renew and then lose their domain name. Yeah. And this is not what happened to Jeb. He just never bought it. But folks lose it in auto-renew. Somebody else picks it up, and I can't mention names, but very high-profile folks have had this happen to them. And set it for auto-renew. and then point it to something that's meaningful so it doesn't just return a 404 error or a doesn't exist error. It goes to your LinkedIn profile, your Facebook profile,
Sure.
Fox Business in your case, GoDaddy, whatever. And I think if you do that, you've actually put a massive amount of control on your digital identity on the web. And I think that's one of the most important pieces of really identity security that you can have in a digital age.
Blake, I know that Silicon Valley is less interested in that story right now than they are the Apple situation facing the Department of Justice. I just need to quickly ask you, where do you as a Silicon Valley CEO stand? I mean, you used to also work at Microsoft. This is a very important story about Apple trying to protect its privacy for all of its customers as the Department of Justice wants to dig into that phone that was owned by a terrorist.
Right. Look, it's a super complicated issue. Now, we have at GoDaddy, we think our first obligation is to protect the privacy of our customers first and foremost. Now, if we receive a subpoena from the government, we respond to that subpoena and have done that both with federal law enforcement and local law enforcement. But there's this asking a company to open up a back door to basically providing an attack trajectory for somebody to go explore, that once you've opened it, it's really can be Pandora's box, and it's a relatively slippery slope where you've opened it up. It's going to be, you have no guarantee that it's only going to be used once. It's only going to be used for positive purposes. And look, I understand how important fighting terrorism is on our soil. And the FBI, I have a ton of respect for. My dad was an FBI agent for 22 years, and they mean to do very, very well. But we've got to balance, and this is the tricky part, you've got to balance the right to privacy for consumers with the ability to protect the land. And I think what's going to end up happening in the Apple case is we're going to see it play out in court, is my guess. It's been I would imagine there's a lot of tech companies that are breathing a sigh of relief that they weren't the ones setting the precedent here.
Yeah, or it goes straight to the Supreme Court, and that's what we're going to talk about next. Blake, great to see you. Thank you.